Welcome to the Modern CPA Success Show, where we're 100% focused on helping accounting firms achieve success. If you're an accounting firm owner who wants to learn how to grow your firm by providing virtual CFO services, then this podcast is for you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm very excited about today's podcast for one reason and one reason alone, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we have Martin Zych here, and he is going to talk about his product. And the reason I'm not saying his product's name is because that's the reason I'm excited to have him here. So one of the biggest debates here at Summit is how to pronounce it. And I would say everybody pronounces your company name differently. So I'm going to get the answer right here, send the recording to my team, and let everybody know the proper way to pronounce your company name. So let's start there, Martin.
Okay. So our company is called Jirav. It's kind of this, you can kind of say the F or the V softly together and blend it through however you'd like, but it's a complete misspelling of the word giraffe.
There you go. So it's not Jirav, it's not Jirav, it's not any of the other fancy ways people at Summit try to say it.
No, it's just giraffe. Like I blend the F and the V, like just together and go that way.
Okay, that's a creative way to do it. Obviously, the picture with the logo helps a lot, but it's still tricky for people, I think, to want to say it, at least at Summit. Jake, you got that? You're going to tell the team now the proper way?
Yeah, yep. I will have to make sure that info gets passed along to everyone, because I think it's more commonly probably Jirav is probably the most common, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that it's giraffe. I've heard multiple times talking with Martin and his team. I'm like, I think that's how it's going to be, but we never kind of formally asked. So definitely glad that you just did, Jamie.
On air and everything. How's that?
Yeah, it's official.
It's official. Okay, yeah. So we've at Summit have made the move to Jirav very recently, and I guess not very recently, but in the past year probably, where we've kind of made this move and from another forecasting tool we used. And so, Jake, I'm going to throw this over to you to start and kind of talk about why we made this move and kind of all the tests we did prior and what would help us make this decision before Martin goes into all the great things that Jirav does.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the biggest driver to start with out of the gate was a cloud-based forecasting solution. So that was kind of like requirement number one that we needed from our forecasting solution. In the past, we were using a desktop-based platform, and we just had some issues here and there, and it just was finally time that we wanted to get something cloud-based. So that was the first thing. One of the kind of underlying options and needs from that as well was a lot easier way to share our forecast information with our clients. I think our clients could feel like it was a little bit of a black box in some manners from a forecasting solution in the past of like, okay, I got to wait to have my forecasting call with Summit so they can pull up their software and we can talk about changes and I can see it on the call and they might be able to give me a couple PDFs. But from there, then I got to wait to the next conversation to really kind of play with the drivers, see how things might change my forecast based on a couple decisions that I want to make. And obviously that's not a perfect solution going forward for a forecasting solution for our clients. So being able to give them access that could be a variety of different levels for different people, could be view only, could be edit just a couple of small fields, whatever that might entail, that makes sense for the client and their needs, was definitely another major factor for finding and engaging with Jirav for our forecasting solutions. Probably some other smaller items, just the ease of being able to build out a forecast. It still needed to be user-friendly for our team to be able to get a forecast up and running without spending 40 hours to get it up and going. So that's definitely a big thing. You can, for the most part, get a pretty robust forecast up and done in a day at the most, and that might even be a little bit extreme. I mean, it can be a lot faster than that, depending on the complexities of what's needed for the client. So that was probably the last biggest item for us initially out of the gate of kind of the 3 bullet points of what we were looking for and what we inevitably found with Martin and his team at Jirav.
So Martin, I can definitely agree with what Jake said. So I did spend several years as a CFO at Summit, and that was one of the frustrations for me as a CFO, as well as my clients, was sitting down with them and walking through the forecast and then being like, "That's awesome. Can I play with it?" Like, well, not really. I might be able to build something for you to play with or find ways for you guys to look at it, but there was really no way to do it. So after Jake laid out that criteria for you, how'd you go about talking to Jake and talking about Jirav and how it will work for the Summit's needs?
Yeah, well, a lot of what we built actually was stemmed for, like, I used to be an outsourced CFO as well. So I've like been in your guys' shoes, and this was a tool that I wish I had when I was doing this stuff. I'd have, 6 or 7 clients, we'd build their model, I'd work like a day a week on each one's books and make sure, that everything was clean, and at the end of the month, do the monthly reporting package, and we'll forward that package. So that was the core guts of what we built. And then and then from there, when we started working with the Summit team, we actually showed, I think Jake built a couple of kind of trial accounts, tested it out, and then we worked really closely with the team actually, and you guys have been invaluable in providing feedback into the app as well. So then, by having that our ears to the ground and just talking to folks like you helped us improve the platform too, and then put in a lot of your best practices in place there.
Yeah, I think you'll find that. I mean, I think our listeners know, they've heard Jake mention several times that we do that with a lot of tools. And I think that companies that are willing to do that and willing to listen and willing to work with us in terms of, yeah, you guys are 75% of the way there. Any way we can get another 5% or another 6% or maybe even another 1%, like companies that are willing to do that, I think are really have a strong partnership. I mean, would you agree with that, Jake?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it definitely is not a requirement out of the gate of like the first primary items that drive us to look for something new, or trying to figure out a problem that we're experiencing. But it definitely tilts the scales pretty heavily when we can have a little bit of influence in what the end product looks like and operates. Just because we do have a lot of experience in the space, and feel like we can offer a lot of valuable insights that obviously will help us provide better services to our clients, but inevitably also help you guys build out the product and make it an easier sell to other people that are looking at your platform.
I think the common thing, and I know I've been in those conversations before, and I think the ones that are frustrating is we bring stuff up and we'll say, hey, when is ABC going to happen? And you say, oh yeah, that's coming up in update 20, which is going to happen in like 3 years from now. And it's like, oh, okay, we'll wait for 3 years from now to sign up, or we'll find something that might work in between now. So how often do potential clients come to you with these type of requests, Martin?
I mean, we talk to our clients every day, and what's really great is we do a new release every single month. So like we've got a great engineering team, and we're just consistently improving the product. Like, and if I see, if we see someone ping in on, we've got like a live support chat even, and someone's like, hey, how do I do this? And we have a ton of help articles and all of that. But if we see a common question, then we take a look at that part of the app and go, hey, how do we make this easier for folks? And we just iterate. And every 30 days you'll see constant improvement in the platform there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's as long as the improvement is going in the right direction, which every improvement we've had from you guys has been awesome for us. And so we've definitely appreciated the improvements and the constant communication. I think that's made it helpful. So I'm going to now circle back to something Jake also said during his introduction of why we moved to you guys, is talking about ease of forecast. A lot of times, a lot of tools we looked at prior to you, it was you needed a specialist or you needed a scientist to go in there and build the forecast for the client. So even if the client had access to it, they'd have no way to how to play with it. So can you talk a little bit about that journey for you and how you went about creating something that was user friendly?
Yeah. So in terms of kind of creating that user friendly aspect, we really looked at what is the end output that we're trying to accomplish for our customers. And when I was building Jirav, we actually worked with a couple of outsourced accounting firms like you guys, and looked at those end outputs and then said, these are the top 10% of our client outputs. If we could do this for everyone, it would be amazing. And then we work backwards from that to then start building up, that process and make that easier and easier. So we went from those outputs then into how to build the inputs. And as you mentioned, there's that, a lot of times the person that would build a forecast before would be, 10 plus years of experience. They've mastered this like 6-inch thick book on like how to use every formula in Excel, and and every little corner case there, and it's super hard to do. And what we did was we just looked at and I said, what are all the common patterns? How do we make it really easy to prop up like a 3-way financial statement model that just your balance sheet ties out, your cash flow statement ties out automatically. You don't have to think about that. And then you can just think about the drivers of the business, and what are, like, we don't even call them formulas in our app. We call everything a driver, because any line in your model can drive any other line, and that can drive the next line, and it's all interrelated from there. And when we looked at those common patterns, then we saw that there were a lot of other people that thought the same way, and wanted to iterate on that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think the one way that we actually had a hire that I think this is pretty common, and we talked about this in a couple of our previous podcasts, like, over the last year, we've had a lot of hires, and this is the first time this happened to us, where we've interviewed someone, hired them, and then they found something different in that 2-week period. And I think one of the things the most recent person said to us was they came into Summit thinking, oh, I'm an Excel genius, I'm an Access genius, I'm going to come in and like knock these guys' socks off with all this Excel and Access stuff I can do. And then they found out that we've actually moved pretty far away from those tools, and are looking more towards web apps, obviously like yours. And so, Jake, do you want to talk a little bit about that move and kind of how Jirav has worked into that?
Yeah, it's definitely been a continuous path that we are going down, and something that'll probably continue to be. We're probably not even halfway down that path of getting out of Excel documents and desktop platforms and being more just completely cloud-based. But just one, being a distributed company for us, and our clients being anywhere, our team members being anywhere, I think it's just really cool, and I think a really awesome culture thing to be able to say you can work from anywhere. And that also can also mean you don't necessarily have to have this big robust setup per se, and really heavy hardware and desktop computers and that sort of things to power these robust spreadsheets. I mean, we definitely have some power users at Summit that require that, but as we can continue to have more and more of our team members just be able to do their stuff on a laptop and kind of go anywhere, I think that's one really cool thing. And be able to access things anywhere is definitely something that we I think just it makes us a stronger company, and also enables us to just be able to pull in potential employees from anywhere around the world, really, from that standpoint. So that's one probably big driver of that. And so I think for us, as we kind of just go down that path, it's definitely figuring out solutions that can solve for things that we currently do in Excel or did in Excel or whatever sort of desktop platform, and how can we get that in a cloud-based model instead. And I think also as we want to be innovative in the in the accounting space, I feel like PDF deliverables to clients that they get emailed or whatever, print off to look at is a thing of the past. And being able to have an interactive items that they can log into, that they can play with, dashboards and those sort of things are what clients inevitably are looking for, even if sometimes they don't realize it out of the gate. That's something that they wanted until they see it and they operate with it. So figuring out solutions that can kind of help power that and automate that process to give that kind of end package to the client is kind of what we are striving for.
I think the other part of that too that I've noticed is that we're actually relying on you, Martin, a lot more for our fixes than we would have in the past, right? When we were in Excel and something went wrong, like I would knock on Jake's door and be like, all right, dude, I can't figure out this formula. Can you help me fix it? And it was all internal. And so now, if something goes wrong and we see something weird in a online platform, we have to go directly to the company and be like, hey, this isn't working. Can you help us? And so can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how often do you work with IT people versus accountants nowadays? And how often do you have to fix those bugs and do updates in order to make sure that those things aren't happening too frequently?
Yeah, so we pride ourselves on pretty good code quality, and because we need to do the financials right and calculate everything right. So we've got a really large dev team that's always improving and making that work. But in terms of that support, within our app, we've got that live chat that 9 to 5 most days you'll get an answer in a few minutes. on there, and we can then help you diagnose, like, is it pilot error versus bug? And usually it's pilot error. And we can go in, and this is one of the cool things about Jirav is, like, I think I've seen probably 1,000 financial models in Excel now, like where people, send it and they're like, hey, can we rebuild this thing in Jirav? I've yet to find one without a bug in it.
100%.
Like literally, like every single Excel model has some bug in there. And within Jirav, we built up a pretty good way where we can see like all the drivers in one spot, kind of diagnose, and we can take a look at it and be like, here's all the formulas. Okay, this one is, this one has some logic that was put in weird. We can tweak that one little thing, it cascades through. And then that fix is done really quickly and easily. And this is another really great thing about using an online platform like this, that you could have a support person who's never seen your model be able to figure out what's going on in like 5 or 10 minutes versus like taking all afternoon to figure it out in an Excel.
Yeah, it's much more efficient. I'll tell you that much. Like I can't tell you how many times I've had to wait in line or try to fix something myself with like a 10,000 character formula that Jake built, and I'm like in character 3,000 before he can find me and help me. So I've been in those situations, and I do think that we're definitely a lot more efficient now. And so the second part of that question is, so do you find yourself working more with IT people from companies, or do you still find it's just smart accountants like Jake who understand the IT side of the world?
I think it's almost 99% smart accountants.
Okay.
Like that was one of the big goals that we had when building the platform, was no code needed. Like you don't need to understand all these big complex 10,000 character formulas. It's more human readable in the drivers and the formulas that way. And that helps not only the accountant who's building the model, but also like when you share this with your clients and they're trying to take a look, they can, if you send this to a non-finance person, and I'm sure we've all had where you sent like a 15 tab crazy Excel file and people are just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like in Jirav, like we built one of the big things when the pandemic hit, everyone was remote, as you mentioned. So it's like, we put a lot of work into collaborative planning, and we built a way where you could even like select specific tables and then tag tasks to them. And then it's almost like filling out a DocuSign for like those department managers to go through that. So it all makes it just a lot easier. No IT, no code needed.
Are you interested in offering virtual CFO services at your firm or scaling your existing service offerings? The Virtual CFO Playbook, How to Land $60,000 a Year Clients and Provide a Killer Client Experience, is an online series of modules that will equip you with essential tools for creating and delivering scalable VCFO services. These approaches have helped Summit CPA grow from $500,000 to upwards of $5 million in revenue over the past decade. If you're ready to grow your firm, visit summitcpa.net/VCFO Playbook to enroll now.
Great. I'm going to ask this question to both of you, give you guys both a chance to address it. So again, I know Jirav is always moving forward and Summit's always moving forward. So Jake, I'm going to start with you. In terms of next steps with Jirav, what are the things we're looking for, and what are the things we're hoping to move forward with next?
I think the biggest thing, which I know is heavy on their roadmap, and I think already in development, but they call it, Bart can probably correct me, but dimensionality, kind of really expanding on that with some of our clients. So some of that can be forecasting. Like right now, you can forecast by either QuickBooks classes or locations. Sometimes we might need a little bit more detail on expense vendors or customers, that we want to be able to forecast by and have that stuff pull in automatically. I think another big area kind of in that same realm is consolidations. When we have 3, 4, 5 plus companies that are interrelated, and we need to be able to provide a consolidated forecast to that client. I think that's one of the other big areas that we are excited for in the future with Jirav, is being able to handle that. We have a couple forecasts that we can't move into the platform until that's possible. So definitely will be excited to kind of hit that item and check that off the list as well. And really, probably the only other thing I can really think of is kind of probably further expanding potential on integrations and how those kind of interlock with forecasting. I don't know if that's something that's in the near future or not, but something that I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of different data points that can help drive a forecast, and be able to pull those things in, and figuring out how to pull in different data points and utilize that for an intelligent forecast is pretty powerful and pretty impactful. Not only just different accounting platforms to just be able to have a quick and easy forecast for different accounting platforms that are out there, but then some of the other non-financial stuff or that can help drive a forecast.
And Martin, he answered long. You're not allowed to copy his paper, so you have to give me new things that you guys are working on outside of what just Jake talked about.
Well, so I'll confirm that all of those are really high up on our roadmap, and we've got a ton of really smart, great engineers working on them. And one of the big ones too on the integrations front, just to add a little more color to that, because we integrate with all the major cloud accounting tools, so Intact, NetSuite, QuickBooks Online, Xero, and Desktop and Enterprise. And then also one of the other big underlying data sources that drive budgets are headcount data. So you'll see a lot more from like payroll integrations, bringing in all the major kind of providers on that side, because that's 80% of the costs in a lot of businesses is that, and the drivers that flow from that. So you'll see a lot more on that. One of the other parts we're constantly growing. So I'm doubling the dev team over the next few months here, and wow. We've so we've got like 10 engineers. We're gonna have 20 pretty soon. Just working on each of these big things, and I think you'll see multidimensionality is actively being worked on. Integrations always coming coming through regularly. And then that dimensionality that does unlock the consolidations as well, so that they all tie together. The other kind of big parts that I'm focused on too is just we already have pretty good ease of use, but even more kind of like guided onboarding. Think of it being like almost bumper rolling for when you're setting up a new account and going through that process. So a lot more templates, wizards, things that just keep on speeding up that time to value, because it's already 10 times faster than building an Excel model. How do we make it, how do we 10x that even again?
Okay, so you stole my next question. So let's talk about that onboarding. I think that's important for our listeners to know. I think a lot of people are afraid or intimidated to go into a new tool because they're like, yeah, it's just going to take us too long to switch over from what we have. So how do you guys, again, sounds like you're making it better, but how do you currently do it, and what kind of changes do you plan on making there?
Yeah, so we have right now like a free trial that you can go sign up, come in, log in, set up an account. There's like a getting started guide with about 5 kind of 90-second lessons with little YouTube videos on how to do each of the core components of Jirav. And then, by the end of that, you could, build a dashboard tile, customize a report, and build like a formula in the app. So that's a core kind of starting point. As well as for outsourced accountants, we have a whole partner program where we've got a team that can actually help train up your broader group too. So, if you've got a whole team that wants to run a pilot account or anything else, we can come in, do live sessions as well as kind of asynchronous kind of resources. With every, nook and cranny of the app has like a help article or a little help video on that side.
Any tips from you, Jake? I know we've made this move not too long ago, but any tips that you might have for any listeners that are thinking about making this move?
I mean, I think taking advantage of the trial and getting in and playing with the platform is definitely the first thing you kind of have to do. And just connecting something that you're very familiar with, whether it's your own company or one of the clients you've worked with for a long time, and play with some of the data models. And I think that's one of the biggest thing. And then I think second, my experience with their support team has been great. So I think they're, at least from my experience, always willing to help and kind of offer some insights and best practices, and definitely take advantage of reaching out to them when you hit a roadblock or you have questions, and they can definitely help guide you through that setup process.
No, I do think that's key. It's funny. I actually have one browser on my screen that's just has like 3 tabs open of things I want to do trials on, but I don't want to do the trials to actually have time to dedicate playing with it, right? The worst thing is signing up for a 7-day or a 30-day trial and you spent like 4 minutes or an hour just playing around with it and not enough, and then you have to like cancel the trial. So I think that is key, is making sure you actually have time to go in there and before you sign up for the trial, to have some companies ready to go and things ready to move in there, because the last thing you want to do is sign up for it and spend the first 20 days just like trying to make sure you get the right company to pull into it. So I think that is key there. So so we are running close on time here, so I want to get some final thoughts from both of you. So I know that the time flies, but let's start with Jake, then on with you, Martin. So Jake, any final thoughts on Jirav or any other forecasting issues going on?
I don't think I have any other final thoughts that we haven't already hit on. I really can't think of anything else. I think just kind of restating, especially with a lot of the things that Martin and his team has put out this year with driver build outs and standard drivers. The time to value that he was just talking about is definitely felt with bulk driver setup and a lot of the standard drivers that they've added into their platform. So from Summit's perspective, they hit probably 90+% of the basic items that we forecast our clients' methodology by. The last 10% just gets way more complex than it needs to be. That in a standard driver, it's more building out some custom table stuff that we can do inside of their platform as well. But most of their standard drivers out of the box, we can kind of get through and build out a forecast pretty quickly, especially with bulk drivers set up, and really kind of get those things up and running and kind of ready to have an educated conversation about a forecast with the client. So I think that's kind of the biggest kind of thing to reiterate from me.
Great. How about you, Martin?
For final kind of key takeaways, I think I'll leave it on a fun note. You asked about the question of like how to pronounce giraffe, but the other biggest question people always ask me is just why a giraffe. So kind of the key part I'd say is our goal. Like, I love the concept of spirit animals, and love how the giraffe's the tallest animal in the world. And we want everyone who kind of engages with us to feel like they've got their own giraffe looking out for them above the trees, above all the bushes, in every direction. And that's our goal, and what we're hoping you guys feel like you're the giraffe for your clients, and that your clients have their giraffe kind of looking out for them personally.
Got it. Now I understand why you did all that work to spell giraffe funny, because it gives you a great ending here. So I do appreciate that, and want to wish you luck. I know that doubling your team right now is probably the hardest thing to do. I've talked with clients, and I know we're in a hiring mode as well. I know it's not easy to do, so I'm sure that's taking a lot of your time to try to double your team. So good luck with that, and appreciate all you guys do for us, because I know it's been a game changer for us this year, and I've really enjoyed the product. So appreciate you coming on.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, thanks, Martin.
All right.
See ya.
All right, see ya.
Enjoy this podcast? Visit our website at summitcpa.net to get more tips and strategies for achieving modern CPA firm success. We're here to be a resource in this ever-changing industry.